Hello, everyone. We're back on a Roman Sunday. Hey, Michael, it's Roman Sunday, October 16, 2022. I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but, after studying the Bible outside the realms of a ritualistic church, I've come to discover that, Jesus taught the Saturday Sabbath, Michael. And we are gathered here to discuss today with Michael on biblical views on conspiracy. And we just happen to be in a new session today with an entirely new script that Michael has worked on for a long time. Michael's put a lot of thought into these scripts. And I just wish that we could get more people to view it. But, everyone's got their own cup of tea. Michael, welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Brett. Welcome, dear listeners, and all over the world. Maybe I don't know where
Yeah,
are
that's
you.
true. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have a lot of listeners from all over and all the continents. What do we have? We have you know so much to share. I mean, it's it's great to have everyone on the channel because I apologize to everyone for not getting enough time to do more. Just been so busy. It's the most beautiful time of year right now, Michael, and it seems like all the work comes right now and just comes just pouring in and yeah, it's hard to keep up, but yeah, we do our best, Michael.
yeah. I thought I would like to speak about the connections from JFK to the movie industry, and especially things were being announced, and things were quite having a bit of taste. And I got so much material left over for the series that I would like to show you some things which you can wipe off as pure coincidences. Let's start. So, this session has been named John Kennedy 007, by purpose, of course. No? Because there were actually movies before JFK was been assassinated, who really were some kind of premonition, like the Manchurian Candidate, where a highly ranked politician had been assassinated by a programmed assassin. And also who was playing here the lead was Frank Sinatra. He was very close to the Kennedys, and he was, of course, also very close to the mafia. And what about that? He was Surrey military of Malta, of course. So that was once the Manchurian Candidate. So that it's highly likely that also Jacqueline Kennedy could be a Manchurian Candidate. Sort of. The other movie is also Frank Sinatra, A Hole in the Head. And Kennedy had a hole in the head. So these movies were being made before Kennedy was assassinated. So then combine the Manchurian Candidate with a hole in the head. Yeah, that's very strange coincidences. But it's just, of course, absolutely issue session here of pure coincidences. You will have, I don't know, dozens of coincidences now, huh? Yeah, the problem I got with several websites is that they just make claims without handing over any sources. So I don't care if Mr. Kennedy was being killed with the gun in a pocket or a gun in a lamp shop puppet. Actually, the outcome is quite similar. Huh? It's a hole in the head. Yeah, so people are claiming that Kellerman also turned around. That's quite sure, yeah. And you see him turning around about Zapruder frame 275, if I remember correctly. And he shot then the president in the throat. I have a hard time with that because, you don't see anything when the limousine about frame 220 is being hidden after the Stamens freeway sign. And I don't want to extend that session here to 3 hours, so I don't show you that frame, but you know that the car was being hidden behind a traffic sign for quite some time, and there you don't see that any action in the car, and it turned out then when the car passes that sign that Kennedy was having his hand on the throat. So it might be that Kellerman turned around and shot Kennedy, or somebody else did. Actually, also Connolly could have done that. But you can't prove, because that's just not what we are allowed to be seen. So that's just speculation. I don't like speculations. I like to see some connections so that you can make up your own mind. Also, I would like to go in the future to combine a little bit more with the Bible. I'm try to apologize myself for going so deep into worldly things, but I think that in the case of Kennedy, we will make an exception. Yeah, so we know that Gene Hill stated there was a little dog in the scene right beside him, but also I know that Gene Hill was close to the Dallas Police Department, so what do I know is if she is a reliable witness or not. Yeah, maybe she's a controlled opposition. I don't know. Can't tell you. What I can tell you is there is gun smoke and there is a trace above Kennedy's head, so it's quite obvious that the shot came from the lower part of the limousine, and the limousine is also the number one item. Yeah. If you would have the limousine, you would really construct or reconstruct the complete assassination, and you could reveal everything, I think, in 48 hours with all the blood samples and proofs, fingerprints, and or not fingerprints, and artifacts in that. But that's a problem, you see. That's the point of the attack, actually. Is a car and not Dealey Plaza. Yeah? So they try to focus your attention to Dealey Plaza when, in fact, the murder weapon is also somewhere in the car. So it's very interesting when they have then realized that it's the Pink Panther movies, which also made a resemblance about the killing of Kennedy. You don't believe me? You don't have to believe me, because there's a website here, reformation.org, which is very humorously talking about that incidents. So that's pure speculation here, that Clint fired anything, and I don't participate in that speculation here. Yeah, but what I really promote is that Jacqueline Kennedy was absolutely in it. Yeah, she did not reveal which direction the shot came from, and therefore she said that she does not care who murdered her husband, because he won't be alive anymore. So the other thing is here that Jackie's Killer Queen is promoting that it had been made with a handgun, and it was been hidden in her famous bag, or so Gucci bag. Yeah, so that's another speculation. What I would agree on is that she had to hide that gun, and that she was in it because that's the trace of the bullet. Yeah, so who else was so close to Mr. Kennedy when he was shot than his own wife? And that's unthinkable for many people. Yeah. But you will come across more unthinkable things in the future. Yeah. So I would like to state that I don't care how he had been killed. I know that he had been killed for religious purposes, and that we had made quite sure, I think, in the last time. It might be that they were containing phosphorus, and so to give the more dramatic effect of his brains being blown out. Yeah, so they might have used some chemicals. And here you see the close ties from Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy, or Jacqueline Bouvier, to the Vatican. All people are applauding, and giving her a big applause. And so I think that, that was quite some time before the assassination. But Roman Catholic, huh? Or shall I say Jesuit? So we have to skip. I just want to point out the similarities between JFK and James Bond. Yeah. Well, there are no coincidences. When here Walter Cronkite is doing some things with his glasses to look very emotional, you see that can also be a distraction here, because he's also in touch with the Freemasons, so to speak. Huh? Yeah, and what about his glasses? Well, we will find out that quite later. Yeah. So I have to make an excerpt here, because it's much more easy soon to go into the website itself. Yeah, so some claims are here are really something. Yeah, but otherwise we will go into this website to show you some similarities about movies which happen to be made later on. And so that is that movie here from the Pink Panther. And of course, the Pink Panther is quite similar to the pose that Jacqueline Kennedy made on the trunk after the shot. So there is a famous or infamous movie, so to speak, called A Shot in the Dark in June 1964. Huh? Guess when they started shooting that movie? Huh? Quite close to the assassination of Kennedy, huh? So it was with Peter Sellers, and yeah, some people say that there are resemblances to the assassination of Kennedy. Well, let's see. She changed her hairstyle, we know that, yeah, but that's not part of that movie. That movie has strange resemblance of characters here, like Herbert Loam looks a bit like J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah, and let's look it here. Let's look it up. Where is it? And there are also some strange references to Paris. Yeah, because when they have escaped, yeah, the story is absolutely not important on that. Yeah, so it's about a murder, of course, and the murderer is most likely the woman. Yeah, but the inspector is protecting the woman and says, "Oh no, that she has nothing to do with it." And afterwards, they are driving through the tunnel. They're driving to the same armor tunnel where Princess Diana had been assassinated. Yes, it was no accident. I've seen videos, and it is much more believable that it was a planned action. And when you know so many details about the killing of Diana, it was most likely a ritual killing, especially when you know what kind of a tunnel that is. And wasn't that also another very famous victim, which were being killed inside a car? Yeah, so there's a similarity between John F. Kennedy and Princess Diana. And also from Jacqueline Kennedy to Paris, where not only Prince Diana was assassinated, but where a part of that movie, A Shot in the Dark, yeah, so an unseen shot, it's like the magic bullet, yeah, is playing actually. So a very strange movie also. The then wife of Peter Sellers was Britt Eklund, which suppose has some ties to the British intelligence service, and some people claim that she wanted to get rid of Peter Sellers. I don't know what to make out of it, but yeah, you can look it up for yourself. You got the link here. Yeah. So that was just a shot in the dark, but that's not all. That's by far not all. Yeah, shot in the dark. It's very strange because, as also the Pink Panther, where the famous comic character that Pink Panther is just doing his comical stuff with the inspector. You got here in the Shot in the Dark, 1964. You got here a strange bullet who is lying about the other bullets and say, you can't do the things that I can." Yeah, so for me, it's actually a reference to the so-called magic bullet, which officially has wounded both Kennedy and Connolly, and that's really laughable. Yeah, there was no magic bullet before or after. Yeah, so the movie was shot in London. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to show you. Yeah, and that screenplay on that movie, Shot in the Dark, was coming from a Jesuit named William Peter Blatty. Blatty is most known for his book The Exorcist, about two Jesuit priests trying to cast the devil out of a young girl. We have spoken about that years ago in our Peter Gabriel script of the Satanic Music Agenda Exposed. Brett, can you think about why they have put on that head in reverse on that picture?
Oh,
it's so easy.
yeah.
It has something to do with Satan.
Yeah, right. It's inverse. The inverse. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Satan is the opponent. He does everything 180 degrees.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's that's so quite obvious, huh? Yeah. Yeah, and the Jesuitical priest, they could not cast out the demon, of course, or the devil, of course, because Jesus Christ, of course, said that Beelzebub can't drive out Beelzebub. What Mark 3:24 has been mentioned here. As we got so rarely a Bible comment here, let's look it up in the King James Bible. Mark 3. Zip. Yeah, there it is.
Yes, Michael. And he called unto them and he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan?
Yeah, that's a situation when you got Jesuitical priests trying to get rid of a demon. Or birds of a feather flock together, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. And so I said that when I saw that picture here with all that green slime, I said, "Oh yeah, that's the birth hour of Slimy." Yeah, Slimy was that kind of stuff when we were giving our teachers in school a hard time in the end of the 1970s. Yeah, so that's a shot in the dark. Let's look it up. Yeah, the Pink Panther had a smoking Beretta. Yeah, so Beretta is an Italian gun. Yeah, Italian handgun, Beretta. Yeah, so that would fit because, of course, Lee Harvey Oswald officially had then a Mannlicher Carcano, so Italian rifle, and then you got an Italian pistol. So most likely it was an Italian pistol. Yeah, you have to have the reference to Rome. Yeah. Allegedly, Roy Killerman's Secret Service nickname was Gabby because he did a talking behind his back. His colleague called him the dumb old.
That reminds me, Michael. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you in what you just said, but that reminds me of that press release that they had found that, I forget that funny name, Italian name rifle for Lee Harvey Oswald, and claimed that it was this Italian rifle. I forget the name. And yeah, that's very interesting that they incorporate that in the movie, isn't it? That way. It's kind of a hint, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. First it was a Mauser, a German Mauser rifle from the Second World War, and then they have changed the story to the Mannlicher Carcano Italian rifle. But the deputy who found the rifle, he insisted on having seen a Mauser rifle, and later on, he was having a hard time, and if I remember correctly, I don't know if that is part of that script here, he died. So much for the truth. When confronted with the fact that she had so the murderer is a she, had a 25.25 caliber Beretta smoking pistol in her hand, the Pink Panther told Inspector Clouseau that she received a bump on her head and blah blah blah. Yeah, so but she is the murderer. She had a Beretta, Italian. Yeah, so the next coincidence, of course, huh? Yeah, so I don't want to go into every nitty-gritty here. So the armor tunnel, la 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 la. Yeah. So, but, and it's a big but. Yeah. You have to see all the coincidences afterwards. We will especially focus on the James Bond movies. Why? Yeah, because you see, the Secret Service was involved in the killing of President Kennedy, wasn't it, huh? So, that means JFK is the archetype of the Secret Service agent, and there have been Secret Service agents involved in that, like Kellerman, like Greer, like Clint Hill. Yeah, so now we go into the James Bond movies. Yeah, you see that even Aristotle Onassis, he and another famous Greek shipping magnate, Stavros Livanos, were the inspiration for James Bond William Stavros Blofeld. Yeah, The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977, if I remember correctly. But that's not all. Oh, yeah. Onassis worked with Knight of Malta, Rainier III of Monaco, so the husband of Grace Kelly, who decided then to switch off the life supporting system, and also got rid of the damaged Rover car where Grace Kelly has died in, or almost died in. Actually, she died when they were shutting off officially the life supporting system. Yeah, there's a eye missing. So I don't want to go into all the things, but it's extremely strange. From now on, you only will see some coincidences. So this is a session of coincidences. In the 1971 James Bond movie, Diamonds Are Forever, it's the last Sean Connery movie, he's mocking a kind of a moon landing there, made in the film studio, apparently. Yeah? It is very strange when I came across that comment that Ken Adams was the production designer on this film who created the scene. Interesting, he was also Stanley Kubrick's production designer. Aha.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, but it gets worse. Yeah, it gets worse. Yeah, so when this guy Aristotle Onassis was being used, or his surname was being used as a villain in James Bond character, he was being seen or depicted as a bad guy, of course, huh? And he's a Sovereign Military Knight of Malta. In the 1981 movie, James Bond, For Your Eyes Only, also, they had a villain called Aristotle Christatos. Huh? You want to have more coincidences, okay? Or you want to have more coincidences. Yeah, you get more coincidences. JFK Jr. died in a plane crash on his way to Island Martha's Vineyard on the day of the release Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, Jacqueline Kennedy, Jesuit trained.
By the way, Eyes Wide Shut was Stanley Kubrick movie there, huh?
Yeah.
That's right, the last one that he put on.
Yeah, and he made that movie in Rothschild's mansion, a castle somewhere. Can't remember now.
What a strange movie that is. I can't really recommend it to anyone.
No, you have to get down to the symbolism. Then it's a really interesting movie, but without the explanation for a lay guy, you have absolutely no chance to know what's it all about.
It's all about esotericism, isn't it, Michael?
It is just a ciphered movie, you see, that if you don't have the key, you don't understand it. And that's the same with news, or the same with your newspaper or the television.
Right.
Yeah? If you don't know what's going on, you really don't have any clue. You will say
it's like the whole thing with Romanism, Michael. It's just so big and so monstrously difficult to learn why it is important to know the enemy. You have to know your enemy. You have to know what his strategy is, and you're not going to learn that strategy unless you really study the enemy and you know how these things work. And that's why we study the Catholic Church and the different doctrines they push, because they're everywhere in the world and they are opposed to the truth of the Bible, aren't they, Michael? So, Romanism is a huge problem, and I keep thinking of this book that Tom Fress was reading, the history of Romanism.
Yeah,
that's a fantastic study.
Sometimes they really tell you the truth. For example, when Pope Francis was visiting, I think it was New York some years ago, he said that Jesus has failed on the cross.
Yeah. He was in this church. What was it now? The main church of I might be wrong, but in I forget all of the.
Yeah, it's not important which church. I think it's just important that you know that he's not believing in Jesus Christ.
Well, of course. I mean, what I wanted to point out is they have this Masonic floor. I mean, it's a black and white checkered floor. I mean, how obvious is that? I mean, if you know anything about Freemasonry and how that relates to the church and the Church of Rome. And, they hide it in plain sight, don't they, Michael?
Yeah, you see, these are no coincidences. Okay, that's for usual approach. That is just a series of funny coincidences. Yeah, But this is just coincidence number 4 or so. If we have then gotten into coincidence 20, then you should really start asking yourself if that this world is running on coincidences or running on conspiracy. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. Yeah, okay. We don't need that stuff. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I should take a look in the movies of 1964. What will I find? Okay, in France, Jacqueline Bouvier, there was a famous Fantomas, so the Phantom, about a genius mastermind, behind a mask, very recent thing, who has organized big amounts of money and threatening all the industrialists. And this is the beginning of the movie, starting with a movie company with a big G. I said, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting of course in Paris with the big obelisk in the place of the Concorde, place of the Unity, actually, Place de la Concorde. That is the same place where Marie Antoinette has been decapitated. Yeah. So, and you remember the song text from Queen, just like Marie Antoinette, da 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 da,
Right.
Killer Queen. So there is the famous obelisk, which is the obelisk also standing in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican and in Washington. You see that all these major cities, they got that obelisk. I really have a hard time that people are so
like
blind
London
to see. But the Bible is speaking about that the people have been blinded.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They have an obelisk, an Egyptian obelisk in, was it Hyde Park in New York City too?
Everywhere. In all the
Yeah,
major cities.
they're all over the
And
place.
it has been disguised as a Washington Monument.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not the Washington Monument. That's not the monument for Washington. That's just that's just
Well, here's the thing, Michael. Isn't it interesting? When you study books like Rulers of Evil, you discover that Washington was actually an insider for Rome. Huh. No surprise. And that Washington had connections and was more or less Jesuitically trained. So, yeah, most politicians are if they're successful, aren't they? They cater to Jesuits.
the problem really is that people don't see the obvious things, and they will be bombarded with luxury and bombarded with money, and they don't see the obvious
Oh,
things.
yeah, they get paid off. Yeah, right. And that's what Babylon is, isn't it? Is luxury and wickedness. Ring a bell?
We will try to tell you the truth. We will try to see you show you all the coincidences here. You see, this takes so much time to look all the movies and to see all the things. And if I see that things, then I think that they are no coincidences. They are just lying just in your face. Yeah, because people are paying their money, to see all that. It's BS. It's entertainment. Yeah, it keeps you away from the truth. Yeah, it's just spending time. Yeah, and
Michael, it's sensationalism. Yeah, making sensation out of the.
we should
things,
focus more on the Bible and less on that all satanic stuff. But the problem that I got is that once I started Kennedy, you see that it's hard to stop, because now out of a sudden everything is connecting through media, music, and everywhere.
Right. That's true.
So this is also kind of satanic media agenda exposed. Yeah, it's not only conspiracies or JFK. The entire world is satanic. You have really to realize it. It is not restricted on politics also, or military.
Yeah, Michael, I would say these sessions are more for people of our age and up, because when you're younger, it's hard to admit these things, and it's hard to even consider them, because youth is just you want to enjoy your life. You don't want to look at the negative, really disturbing facts of life, and unless there's I don't know how to put this into words, but yeah, it's got to be really hard for young people to come to this knowledge, to deal with it, and accept it. I know it was for me when I was a lot younger. It was like almost too much, actually, Michael. Almost too much. Can't really handle it. Gotta go.
Yeah, and they
You know.
also depict here another capital city named Paris. You see, Paris has been founded on mysticism. Yeah. So what happens? It is just luxury items here, and yeah, there are masterminds, Phantomas, and this is Blofeld, the mastermind of JFK. But maybe the session begins a little bit lame, but will soon turn out to be interesting, I hope. So it's been happening here at Van Cleef and Arpels, a French luxury jewelry company. You see that with jewelry, also Lucifer has been equipped in Ezekiel 28:13. Yeah, all the precious stones were thy covering. Yeah, and also there's a reference from Van Cleef and Arpels in Paris. Yeah, you only can guess how important and exquisite that is. In the James Bond movie, Diamonds Are Forever. Yeah? I miss you more than Van Cleef would miss Arpels. And in Phantomas also the car is equipped with oil and spraying and so. And for me the real Phantomas is actually Christian von Koenigsegg, so who make that insane fast cars, about 300 miles per hour or so. Because it's just like a Phantom. We have a Phantom here from the former airport battalion, military stationed fighters there. But Christian von Koenigsegg is just like a Phantom. I know he's lesser nobility because it's von Koenigsegg or of Koenigsegg. Yeah, but where does he has all his money to pay all his employees and have all his ideas and engineers when you are just selling, I don't know, 100 plus cars a year? It's just... it's all distraction. You see that I guess there are some very, very, very famous organizations supporting that kind of hobby. Yeah, you know that Satan has just small time. Yeah? So Phantomas, Phantom. Yeah, it's not a good idea. The Phantom means something you can't. Yeah, you cannot get a grasp on. Yeah, it's just a ghost. Yeah, it's like Rolls Royce Phantom. Yeah, you see that. What's it all about? It's not positive at all. Yeah, but many people are just not getting aware of the fact that the entire internet has been censored, and so they only allow a certain amount of information. Google with its rainbow colors. Where the problem is that rainbow is usually the connection of God and people after the flood. So with Noah and God, and yeah, in Lucifer also claims to have the rainbow, or LGBT claims to have the rainbow. But the problem is that Google is a company, and the problem is that we are at the moment using that platform. So it's hard to speak about it. Maybe it's better to show that. But you will see what's it all about, because Google also has a combination or reference to 007. Yeah, because the GU or the OOG in Google stands also for 007. Why? Oh, it's really simple. 007 used to be the signature of John Dee. John Dee was somebody who, with another guy, has set up the first secret service for Queen Elizabeth I, not the second, who just has died a few weeks ago. Yeah, so and that was his signature, 007, or these two glasses and a cane. Huh? And that's a problem with it. You see that that 007 means also Google, or has been incorporated in Google. Why? Because G is the seventh letter of the alphabet. Yeah? So just insert here a G, U, G, L, E. Yeah? So then you have a Google. So Google has something to do with the Secret Service. Yeah? And that is also a symbol of two balls and a cane. Two-ball cane. And Google even admits that they are spying on you. Not officially, but with symbolism. Yeah. So much for two-ball cane. Yeah, because 007 also means Tubal Cain. Tubal Cain is, not by coincidence, a password in Freemasonry. Aha. And do you remember when it was Mr. Pinkerton, who came from Scotland, I think it was, offering his services to high-paid or to highly important politicians to protect and for Secret Service? He made that hidden hand gesture on the famous picture with Abraham Lincoln, and he had that one-eye symbolism for his agency. Yeah? So they are all Freemasons who are coming down to the Secret Service. So no wonder that they are using 007 or that they are using Tubal Cain for their most famous member or fictitious member, James Bond. And that's no coincidence maybe either that Walter Cronkite, when he was trying to fiddle around with his glasses, maybe also made a reference to the Secret Service. Huh? Remember that symbol with the two glasses of 007? Might be, can't prove it, might be. Tubal Cain is the father of Smithcraft in the Freemason. Yeah? Tubal Cain has also been mentioned in the Bible. A person mentioned in the Bible. The first blacksmith in Genesis 4:22. A descendant of Cain. Yeah? And then yeah, a descendant of Cain. Yeah, Tubal Cain. There you got your Cain. Yeah. So when Freemason has made Tubal Cain a, so to speak, password, yeah, then he might be important. Yeah. I don't want to go deeply into that because otherwise we will never finish with any sessions. Yeah, because everything is connected, of course. But it's just Tubal Cain. She bore also Tubal Cain, an instructor of. Oh, sorry, Brett, I didn't want to take anything
Oh,
away.
no.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
An instructor of every artificer in brass and iron, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Nama. Yeah? So you see that they are using, once again, not only Solomon, they are not using the temple, and they are not using Tubal Cain. They are just using biblical references, but in the wrong context, of course. So Tubal Cain, yeah, somewhere in the line of Cain, maybe. Yeah? So Google is spying on you. Of course, that's the purpose of the internet. Huh? The purpose of the internet is coming from the Department of Defense. Yeah, so Satan twists everything around. So what's the opposite of defense? So the Department of Attack. And who they are attacking are the civilians. Huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's really, yeah. The forerunner of the internet was the ARPANET, Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. That's the main important thing. Agency network. Yeah, so it was not just a private test. Oh yeah, let's have a network of chatting nice people. No, it was just meant to be serving the United States Air Force and was being set up by Massachusetts Institute of Technology for the U.S. Defense Ministry. Sorry, I have not translated that. Yeah, but that it was a military subject, the internet. Yeah, and the first server was at CERN. Yeah, in Switzerland. Yeah, where they want to look for the God's particle. And CERN is the abbreviation of Cernunnos. Yeah, that's the horned god. Yeah, but
by the way, I have a resource that I cannot disclose on this on any of these sessions that has told me that they actually planned on building that large Hadron Collider, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
They were planning on building it in Texas first. And they discovered that they could not do that. They had to find a different location for whatever reason. They chose Switzerland there on the border. And
Switzerland, yeah, especially Switzerland.
Isn't it on the border between Switzerland and
Italy?
Italy. Oh, really?
And guess what? Guess what? No, Switzerland is not a big country. It's a very small country, but it's a very rich country. And why is it a rich country? Because they used to store all the gold. Yeah.
Speaking of aprons,
And speaking of the Soviet Military Knight of Malta, and speaking of knights in general, yeah, look at the symbolism of the flag of Switzerland, and then you know, oh,
oh yeah,
it's a
that's
red cross.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and the Gmail
Yeah.
logo seems to be the Masonic apron.
yeah, it does. Yeah,
You know, there are many more similarities. You see that G, yeah, the letter G, yeah, you really know what.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, in Freemasonry,
put a
Gmail.
triangle in there.
Yeah.
There you go. All-seeing eye. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can do that in Access. You can say, okay, the G, the Freemason, yeah, and then Google 007, yeah, and then LA. Why does it not work here? Yeah, so that's Google.
Ah,
Yeah, and the Google Play logo is the sigil of Lucifer.
man, incredible.
Yeah, I made a German session about that. Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
that is wicked. Can you scroll down just a touch so we can see that? Yeah, yeah. There we go.
There are no, it's all coincidences. I told you right from the start. This is just a session of coincidences, huh? This is all just coincidences. Yeah? It's just very coincidental. Coincidence. I don't know. Sorry. It's just not by coincidence that all the major companies have some reference to any pagan gods or Satan directly, like Nike. Yeah, and all the stuff. Yeah. So many occultists say, no, that's wrong. That was not John Dee's symbolic signature when he was communicating with Queen Elizabeth, but its circles symbolize the private eyes, yeah, and that is just also looks like a 7, so that could be 007 or Google. Nicholson made a movie about that. It's called Kane, Tuba Kane, full version. Yeah, anybody who wants to get deeper into that can look it up there, okay? Yeah, so I don't know. It seems to be that Mrs. Kennedy is just a secret agent. Yeah, okay. So, don't underestimate symbolism, yeah? So that might have also be a reference to, I know what's going on. I turn on my glasses and I'm just a part of that private eye code to Secret Service. Might be. Can't prove it, of course. Huh? But it will get very interesting, I hope, at least from now on. Because I have to admit, I made a mistake. My mistake was to rely on Google Translator. Because on the Google Translator, he made an automatic translation, of course, yeah. And then Mr. Zapruder says something he didn't say, yeah, allegedly due to the automatic translator. He said, I saw that broccoli opens up all blood. And speaking about the head of Kennedy, of course. So I will make an excerpt here. So, Zappididap. Zapruder broken up, yes. Yeah. You don't hear any voice now. Yeah. Yeah. But you see, yeah, that there he shows you where the exit wound is. Yeah. So the shot can only come from the other side. Isn't that obvious? Yeah, sorry, but sometimes things are so easy. Yeah, so in that movie, the automatic translator said, I saw that broccoli opens up all blood. And I said, oh, that's interesting that he has a reference to vegetables. But the problem is, I made that in here the Zapruder fairy tale movie, and I rechecked it later on, but then the session had been released. So, what did he say actually? He actually said, no, I saw his head like broken up. So he did not say anything about broccoli. But sometimes, just sometimes, there are just coincidences. And I thought to myself, broccoli, there was something to it. Yeah, he never said broccoli. He said that it was just like his head was broken up and all blood, and I kept shooting. Yeah, also he meant with his camera, of course. Yeah, if it was him, so you have to doubt everything. Yeah, but that's what I said that here. Oh, that's very strange because broccoli is usually green and not orange. Yeah, which orange is the color of Freemasonry. 33 degree. Ah, yeah, 22 plus 11, the 22nd of November, 33, and all the stuff. And I said broccoli, Brett, broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know broccoli.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's broccoli.
I have no idea who that is.
You have no idea what that is?
Oh wait, is that Cian whatever?
No. That's Barbara Broccoli.
I don't know.
Barbara Broccoli is a commander of the British Empire. Who's also commander of the British Empire as a fictional character? James Bond. She's American film and stage producer, best well known internationally for her work on the James Bond film series. And if that automatic translation from Google would not be such a mess, I would not have gotten into the script here. Yeah? So let's meet Mrs. Broccoli. Because she's responsible for the James Bond movies. 007.
Interesting.
They were produced by the Eon, yeah, that's the goddess of the morning dawn, the Eon of Horus, yeah, and she was been handed over the task from her father called, Broccoli, huh? Tja. By his daughter Jesuit Barbara Broccoli, some website is claiming here. And usually it was Albert Broccoli who came up with the idea, and he was having, he was making the first, I think it was, all the movies with Sean Connery. Also the movies, they were present when James Bond was starting in 1962, when Kennedy was still alive. Yeah? So she's the daughter of Albert Romolo Broccoli. An American, so Rome, huh? American film producer, filmed at Pinewood Studios. Pinewood Studios in England. Yeah, also been destroyed. I don't know what kind of ritual they made there, or if it was just been happening by accident. I don't know. Yeah, Broccoli is most notable as the producer of many of the James Bond films. He was born into an Italian-American family on Long Island. Oh, like Frank Sinatra, kind of. Sort of. Then he was being made a lifelong friend with Howard Hughes. And then also Wikipedia tells you that Broccoli have taken a part in a barroom brawl which took the life of the comedian Ted Healy. Yeah? His cousin, Broccoli's cousin, gangster Pascal Pat Di Ciccio, and film star Wallace Beery fought with Healy and beat him to death. Yeah? So you know that now your producer of James Bond movies has some experience of killing somebody. May have been taking a part. Well, yeah. The early life has been said that he was immigrants from Calabria region of Italy, Giovanni Broccoli. Yeah, and then I went down the family tree and I said, well, there are much more Broccolis there. And I said, well, it was in Calabria. Okay, what is the mafia called, or the mob called in Calabria? It's called Ndrangheta. Can't speak it. Ndrangheta, don't know how. Huh? But they got that symbol here. Yeah, like a spider or something else. Yeah, so in James Bond fictional, yeah, you see that symbol of Spectre. I said, okay, might be a coincidence, huh? Just a coincidence. Yeah. So Mr. Broccoli, the producer of James Bond, has an older brother. Yeah. He acquired his nickname after his cousin, mobster Pat Di Ciccio. And that Pat Di Ciccio was a mobster who was working for Lucky Luciano, and that is one of the high-rankings mafia gangsters of all time in the United States. Yeah? So, you know, huh? There are connections with the mafia to James Bond. Weren't there connections with the mafia with Frank Sinatra? Weren't there connections with the mafia with John F. Kennedy? but it's just a session of coincidences, yeah? Yeah, so he was a tough guy beating up his wife, etc. And there's also in the Wikipedia entry of Petticito, it's been of Broccoli, a source alleged to that actor Wallace Beery, Broccoli, and film producer Petticito beat Haley so badly that he fell into a coma and died. Yeah, so Broccoli was beating up somebody to death. Yeah, and that guy later was the producer of James Bond movies, and he was connected to the mafia, or the mob. Broccoli admitted that he was indeed involved in a fistfight with Healy at the Trocadero. He later modified his story. Oh. Yeah, only the victor is writing history, huh? I can't prove anything, but it's really obvious here what kind of a circle Mr. Broccoli is in, huh? And that's all only about the wrong translation of the Google translator. Then, because of the authorities' lack of interest in investigation in Healy's death, an autopsy was not performed. Oh, sure. So many coincidences here. That's a session about coincidences. In 1966, this Mr. Broccoli, 007 producer, was in Japan with other producers scouting locations to film the next James Bond film, You Only Live Twice. He had a ticket booked on BOAC flight 911 and cancelled his ticket on that day so he could see a ninja demonstration. Flight 911 crashed after clear air turbulence. What a coincidence. 9/11, 1966. Yeah? But Mr. Broccoli and Mr. Harry Saltman, they have cancelled that because of a ninja demonstration. Ninjas are kind of soldiers of mercy.
Oh, ninjas, yeah.
Ninjas, yeah. And so it's all about 9/11. It's all about symbology and numerology once again, like Calvin Klein. C means 3, K means 11. 3 by 11 is 33. Welcome to Freemason and sodomy. Yeah, and that Broccoli guy had a daughter named Barbara Broccoli. And of course, Mr. Broccoli has a star, so he's a admirer of fallen angels on the Hollywood Walk of Shame. So, and he's been responsible for all the James Bond movies, which has been listed up here. Yeah? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, all the things, and these two were when JFK was still alive. So let's focus on that movies quite soon. Now, he's also been busy with Bob Hope, who is just another sovereign military knight of Malta.
Wow. Never knew that little snippet.
And then I came across that strange German novel, which I was just presenting, which I think that nobody knows in the United States except a few. It's about Friedrich Dürrenmatt, The Visit of the Old Lady, a tragic comedy. When he was putting out a name of that incredible wealthy woman, a billionaire woman, yeah, she's called Claire Zachanassian. And I told you that it was just a combination of names. Yeah, Zachanassian sounds very elite, yeah, unique, like Bouvier, yeah. So Bouvier also, yeah, it sounds Bouvier Kennedy does not sound that great. That Kennedy Onassis, yeah. So that's wealth and power and politician, etc. So and Zachanassian is just a combination of these three guys, where one of them, the middle name, the middle part is coming from Onassis. There comes the Nassi of Zachanassian. Okay, that's once again Mr. Yeah. Aristotle Onassis. Okay. So I don't want to bother you with all the things. But I came across my German path and I said, oh, well. That's very strange because Dürrenmatt wrote another novel which called The Promise about the child molester or the child murderer actually. And he was being played by the German actor called Gerd Fröbe or Froebe. Yeah. It happened on broad daylight. Yeah, so that is the film, which is the movie connected to the novel The Promise. And there you see in the big Cadillac, you see here Gerd Fröbe, and this is the inspector. The inspector in that movie, he traps the child molester, but in that novel, he gets crazy because he never finished the search for that child murderer. Okay, but that's just not that important. Mr. Fröbe played his role very well, so he was chosen, as the official story, to play Ulrich Goldfinger in the Goldfinger movie 1964, which happened to be published after, of course, the event of the killing of Kennedy. So, 1964 is the key year after the assassination of Kennedy. For example, when I talked about the Lee Harvey Oswald case, I came across the fact that in 1964 the career of Clint Eastwood started to take off, yeah, thank you. A Fistful of Dollars, when he was just presenting here that kind of protection against bullets, yeah, that bulletproof vest or bulletproof shield here. And they said that, oh yeah, that might be also the case with the Fatal Shot, or it just was just a blank here in that movie. It was just maybe a theater weapon, yeah, so that's a movie weapon or so, huh? So that maybe just filled with a blank or so. Or just powder, or what else, yeah? So I think that it was just staged, yeah? That also could be some microphones or what else, it just be staged, yeah? Yeah. And so that is very interesting. You think maybe up to now that I was just making fun of it and you were just wasting your time, but please don't stop and just listen for a few minutes. There is a relationship between John F. Kennedy and James Bond, or Ian Fleming, allegedly. Ian Fleming was a real Secret Service agent during the Second World War, like Christopher Lee and other people. He met President John Kennedy, and allegedly he has been a very humorous guy and said, oh yeah, that beards attract radioactivity, and to get rid of Castro, yeah, you have to do this and you have to do that, and you have to shave off his beard and he will soon fall from power, and all those bizarre things. But they have met, so that's the first thing. And on that occasion, some websites are claiming that the favorite books of John F. Kennedy was James Bond series by Ian Fleming. You don't know what's coming up. So, I think that all the movie industry is mocking us, making fun of us, fooling us. Diamonds Are Forever is coming from 1971. Remember, in Diamonds Are Forever, yeah, James Bond is sitting in a vehicle which looks like the moon or the NASA lunar rover. Yeah, that was happening quite a short time after the alleged moon landing, which of course never took place, because you know this is a stage here. Where can you see that it's just artificial? It's very easy, because there are no stars, yeah. And if you ask Neil Armstrong, he did not see any stars at all. And Neil Armstrong, when interviewed after the alleged moon landing, yeah, he was having a mood like in a funeral, yeah. So does not look happy. So that is the NASA lunar rover. In that James Bond movie, okay? Yeah, so, and that is the real Umbrella Man from the NASA lunar rover. Yeah, I think they're making fun of us, because that seems to be a puppet, because he never changed any position or his hand on that. I don't know what the purpose of that moon rover will be. Yeah, you see dust here. That's very, very strange. And I happen to not know where they have stuffed that big vehicle into their capsule. And also you would have to have batteries running and all the stuff. I think they are fooling us, and that for me looks like the real Umbrella Man. Huh? Yeah. So that is the Umbrella Man of JFK, and maybe that's also the Umbrella Man of JFK. This is also maybe the Umbrella Man of the moon landing. You know that I think that you think that you are being fooled by me. No, I mean it very seriously. The official guy who did that moon rover on the James Bond movies was Dean Jeffries. That was the same guy who was painting the 130 starting numbers or race numbers on James Dean's Porsche. Small, very small word. Yeah, very small word. Yeah, and you see that James Bond here is just making mockery of the moon landing, because that is, of course, he's running in a stage here. Yeah. That was happening quite after the moon landing. What shall convince me that now the movie coming out, being published after JFK assassination, did not had any clues to that JFK assassination, as well as Diamonds Are Forever had to the moon landing? That was my thought. So in contrast, we will look to the three first movies of James Bond, being 1964, Goldfinger, and the other stuff. Goldfinger, from the Elite Kino. Yeah, Kino in German means cinema. And Kino is a famous Jesuit also, the name of a famous Jesuit. Not many people know that. Yeah, and Kino, or light plays, a play of light, is actually Laterna Magica. Yeah, so that's also a Jesuit invention. Laterna Magica. That's, yeah. So
well,
in
you're
that
talking
90s,
about the magic lantern.
yeah. Laterna Magica, Magic Lantern, yeah, spot on, yeah. So the principal photography took place from January to July 1964 in the United States, Switzerland, there you got your Switzerland once again, and in United Kingdom, Switzerland, and the United States. So very close to the assassination. Yeah. And in Germany, we are not allowed to see the gold, the alleged gold of the Germans in Fort Knox. Yeah, because somebody who asked to was denied, and he died at the age of 35. I'm not joking. The name is Philipp Missfelder. Yeah, it's now an English session here, so I don't go into that. But it's not allowed for any German politician to get a close look to the gold, which is supposedly deposited in London, Paris, and in Fort Knox. Yeah, we have to believe it. Okay. And so I apologize for not having anything in chronological order here, but it is just so much work to look at all the films and to combine all the pictures. But we have to remove one of the truth protective layers, and layers can be also used in film to hide something. So, Mr. Armstrong, we will try to remove some of the truth protective layers. When we come down to the 1964 movie, A Shot in the Dark, with that movie, with that bullet, the inspector Peter Sellers says, nothing matters but the fact. And he says, the bullets were fired at close range from a .25 caliber Beretta automatic. Fact. So, maybe they are fooling us, or are they trying to tell us something? We can't prove it. Yeah? But if it was coming from a Beretta, then maybe it was coming from a Beretta 950, because 9 plus 5 would be 14, which be the elements of Osiris, and it happened in the Temple of Osiris in Dealey Plaza. Yeah? Osiris was murdered and chopped into 14 pieces. Yeah? So that's Beretta 950. Yeah? That would fit for the symbology, numerology. I can't prove it. Yeah? So you have to take it with a grain of salt. But it was intended to be a very simple and reliable pocket pistol. Production locations are Beretta, Italy, before 1968. So every Beretta before 1968 was coming out of Italy bred. But it gets worse. The Beretta 418, which sums up to 13, yeah, was marketed as the Panther from 1958. Remember, Pink Panther. Okay, but just a coincidence, of course. No? The Beretta in fiction. James Bond uses the Beretta in the first 5 novels of the series by Ian Fleming. Yeah? And that's Ian Fleming Tombstone. It is just another coincidence, of course. So that is not the usual gravestone also, huh? Not quite. And he was a cousin of, or Christopher Lee was a cousin of Ian Fleming, but yeah, that's not that big item. That's why I say they have exchanged roles here. On the left side you see Christopher Lee. He's a Secret Service agent who plays an actor. He actually, when you are a Secret Service agent, you stay being a Secret Service agent your entire life because you're carrying secrets. And on the right side, you see Roger Moore, who is playing a Secret Service agent, but is just an actor. That's the man with the golden gun. Yeah. And this, yeah. And so Christopher Lee is officially just collecting some passes of Secret Service companies, Special Air Service, and so you have to believe it. Yeah, so he has access to all the Secret Service company, and you know that he was coming from Charlemagne. He was coming as a descendant of Charlemagne, and you can guess that when you had combined it with Secret Service agents, you know that. Yeah, he's a kind of a Jesuit as well. Yeah, so these people are people who are knowing too much, the man who knew too much, and all these Secret Service guys knew too much, and of course they are silent about their missions. So this is allegedly a membership card of Mr. Lee. Bond's pistol is described as a very flat 25 caliber Beretta. In reality, Ian Fleming received a fan letter in 1957 from a certain Jeffrey Boothroyd, a Bond enthusiast and gun expert, criticizing the choice of firearm for Bond. Boothroyd called the Beretta a lady's gun. Huh? A lady's gun. Remember the similarity now to JFK. And suggested several alternatives, one of which was the Walther. And so he says, in the film, Boothroyd references this when describing the Beretta with the line, nice and light for a lady's handbag. That was my reference. But it's, of course, just another coincidence. It is not me, it is just me quoting here somebody who was in touch with Ian Fleming. And he says, well, the Beretta is nice and light for a lady's handbag. And you got the reference of shot in the dark as well, when I say, yeah, the shots were coming from a .25 caliber Beretta. Fact. Of course, these are just coincidences. Can't prove it. Yeah. So the guns of James Bond, there you can read it. Yeah, this is the source. Let's have a look in the first James Bond movie. It starts with a chess game. Freemasons somewhere. And it turns out to be that James Bond has been captured there on an island with Dr. No. Dr. No means the one who's denying, So Satan. And it's about radiation there, yeah, because they are just playing on with the atomic power. And the villain here, Dr. No, says, yeah, our clinics are full of people who are thinking, well, Napoleon or God, like today. Yeah, and you see that here it's just danger level. It's about atomic power, radiation zone. Yeah, it's all about fear-mongering. Yeah, let's have a look at our series, Science is the New Religion, when it comes down to the atom.
Yeah, the fear of man bringeth a snare.
Yeah. Yeah, so reactor and all the stuff. Yeah, so the fear. Yeah, to control the people. Yeah. And so that was the first strike on James Bond, 1962. Okay. But that is the second one. It's called From Russia with Love. That is in the year, Brad, 1963. Who allegedly came from Russia? You know that guy here? That's Lee
Harvey Oswald?
Yeah, he came from Russia. Officially, he had also a Russian wife. Yeah, and that shot here, that got the Pulitzer Prize for photography. Can you imagine? Yeah, so that's the best picture that somebody can come up with where allegedly somebody had been killed. Yeah, that's a Pulitzer Prize. We are living in a satanic world. You have really to see that. Yeah? Because that is the next picture who has received the 1973 Pulitzer Prize about a naked young girl crying in pain about being burned severely by napalm bombs. Not atomic bombs, napalm bombs. That's a Pulitzer Prize. Yeah? So, terror, murder, that sells in that world. Yeah? Pulitzer Prize. I don't want to have that prize. Yeah, so that would Pulitzer was alleged to. No, I don't. So these are the pictures I would have chosen, Brett.
Yeah.
Instead, or maybe this. Yeah, but this satanic word, yeah, is just choosing pictures like this. Yeah, we live in a satanic world. Yeah, I would choose pictures like a happy baby or happy child, not baby, child, dolphins, horses. Yeah, these were the best pictures I would come up with. Yeah, but we live in a satanic world. Yeah, Mr. Oswald from Russia with love. Yeah, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, they named him also. That's a comic strip by Walt Disney, 33-degree Freemason. It's just coincidence, of course. Yeah, and allegedly he traveled to the Soviet Union in October 1959. Allegedly, yeah, we don't know which Oswald traveled there. Yeah? It was Lee Harvey or Harvey Lee. Yeah, but nevertheless, yeah. The filming on that From Russia with Love began at April the 1st, 1963. So when Kennedy was just in power. And it's not an April's Fool. I don't know. Yeah. So when he was asked what kind of a poison he had given to that girl to paralyze her, the Russian agent says chloralhydrat. And I said, chloralhydrat? Where did I come across the chloralhydrat? And I said, yeah, of course, Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, she died as an overdose of chloralhydrat. 1962. 1 year ago. I said, what a coincidence, because Marilyn Monroe, Brett, has no connection whatsoever with Mr. Kennedy. Or was there something? We have to think about the fact that they might have been paralyzed, JFK, and not been shot, but just also been paralyzed. Yeah, so From Russia with Love is in 1963, yeah, so in the same year when Kennedy was there, and had been released in October 1963. Very interesting, yeah. This is official Wikipedia. As President John F. Kennedy had named Fleming's novel From Russia with Love among his 10 favorite books of all time in Life magazine. And then he received allegedly 3 shots from Italian rival from somebody who had been coming from Russia called Lee Harvey Oswald. Just another coincidence, of course, no? Yeah. Yeah, so like broccoli opens up all blood, no? Yeah, thank you very much for your automatic translation. Sometimes even that is very useful. And Mr. Arthur Schlesinger, that's what Jörg did not believe in the first place. Arthur Schlesinger wrote in the American Prospect the following. Arthur had another unusual White House post as movie critic and impresario. From Russia with Love was his selection, so Arthur Schlesinger's, his selection the night before President Kennedy left for Texas in November 1963. So allegedly, according to Arthur Schlesinger, From Russia with Love was the last picture that John F. Kennedy had taken a look at in the White House. Art is just another bunch of coincidences, of course. And all these people have tragic death here. Arthur Schlesinger, that's the source. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, so these are extracts from the movie From Russia with Love. Maybe that is also here a symbol of Spectre or Narangeta. Yeah, and this is here in the 12th second in that clip here when he was been poisoned. They say, I will translate it, we have to have a poison which is much more faster than that. So it's about the poison here in Russia with Love. Coincidence, no? It's also maybe a coincidence that the infamous chief of that Russian intelligence, an older woman, has just here a knife or something hidden here in her shoe. And that's where I think that that author of Jackie is Killer Queen came up maybe with the theory of Jackie's dart gun. Yeah, so that Jackie was just injecting something into John F. Kennedy's leg, yeah, with her heel or with her toe with a shoe, especially. And that's very strange when that is a part of that movie From Russia with Love, I think. Yeah, so maybe that author has the same idea than me. Because you have to realize, in all the coincidences here, that Ian Fleming was a real Secret Service agent. So he's showing off some things that they might really be using. Tools, gadgets. Let's look any further. James Bond in that movie, From Russia with Love, is then just going to Italy. And he says James Bond will return to the next Ian Fleming thriller, Goldfinger. And he's going to Trieste, so to Italy. Interesting, huh? That your guy from Russia with Love then is going to Italy. So you got a connection to Italy once again. Yeah, this is from the original script here, From Russia with Love. Yeah, the first thing is check Knight takes Bishop. I said, oh yeah, that's great for introduction. Huh? That's great. Yeah. Yeah, and that car is equipped with radar and with a bullet protection shield, which Kennedy's car was not. Yeah, and has some passenger, what else? Ignition. And of course, this is a fake picture. This girl has been allegedly killed by painting her with golden color so she can't breathe anymore. But you see in that picture, Brad, that it can't be because she's wearing a slip.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just coincidences, huh? It's also a coincidence that Life magazine was promoting that Goldfinger movie, like they were promoting the assassination of President Kennedy, with a picture of Lyndon B. Johnson's car. And I don't think that in 2022 you could name a girl Pussy. Yeah, but 1963 it was no problem. Yeah, so that is Pussy Galore, this is Goldfinger, and this is James Bond. And that's the chauffeur of Mr. Goldfinger. And that's the army of Mr. Goldfinger, where all the yeah, all the
nice insignia.
Yeah, of course. This is just a session of coincidences.
Just a coincidence.
Yeah.
They're missing the other 16.
This is of course Spectre.
They got half of it there. No. Of course, because they're female, right? Oh,
yeah. You got it. Somebody who's using his brains.
Well, yeah, because the straight spikes are the male, and the squiggly ones are the female.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, and so here Mr. Goldfinger says here he's got a really extreme nerve gas called Delta 9. I said, oh yeah, that is very interesting because Delta happened to be coming from Greek. Yeah, and 007 is then writing to the Central Intelligence Agency or Catholics in Action, area nerve gas precedes dawn raid Fort Knox. Yeah, okay, we're talking about a nerve gas here. Huh? What are we talking about in the case of Kennedy when he could not move? After frame 225, when he approached after the Stamens freeway sign. Yeah, maybe we're talking also about a nerve gas. But of course, that would be not just another coincidence. Maybe coincidence number 12. We were coming up with more coincidences here. Yeah? Because in the original script of Goldfinger, Ian Fleming says, this is GB. So it's not Delta 9 here. As far as I know, that's GB. That's a nerve poison from, of course, the Germans are always to blame, in 1943, from the German Wehrmacht, so the German army. Sure. My. Yeah. But there's so many coincidences, yeah, but we will not run out of coincidences. Therefore, we have to show you a video here on YouTube, which is on YouTube, where you can see this are just a bunch of coincidences here that has nothing to do with whatsoever. Yeah, so just please concentrate on that. Is a 1964 movie of Goldfinger, and maybe you can realize what kind of car that is. I give you a hint. Even in Texas, they drive that car. this shooting scene happened to be the first scene they ever did on that Goldfinger movie, as far as I was informed. And they shot that in Florida, so not in Texas. Yeah, but that's they are just crushing here a special limousine, and by chance, of course, this is the Lincoln Continental crushed Goldfinger scene. And you might say, yeah, but what's up? You see, that's just a Lincoln Continental. Well, Lincoln Continental happened to be the same car that Kennedy was killed in.
It looks like the same color too.
It even looks like the same color.
Incredible.
Yeah. But it's just another coincidence.
What are they trying to tell you? Yeah.
Yeah, of course they have gotten rid of the car and all of the details, you see. The car was heavily been modified afterwards. Not that, of course, but it's just it is just a coincidence. It's just happening in a Secret Service movie here in Goldfinger. That's what I want to show you. Yeah, this is the Lincoln Continental Crush Goldfinger scene, and of course you won't find a Lincoln in the original script, so in the original novel, because the novel has been written before the Lincoln Continental had been introduced, especially that model. Yeah, so that was the choice of the producers, and it happened to be nearly the same model and the same color that JFK was riding in.
That's so funny you bring up that picture, because I keep thinking about the expression on Jacqueline's face. Please don't take a picture of me. We're about to murder the president.
Yeah, or she's telling you that, or you don't know what I had to bear all these years. Yeah. I'm looking
hot in this suit. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to my billionaire. I will leave my millionaire and will go to my billionaire.
Weren't we talking about how she had planned on going to visit him while married to JFK, and he let her do it? Yeah. And look at the expression of this senator, or was it not senator?
Yeah, that's this Connolly. Yeah, sure. They're all
governor.
Highly concentrated, I would say. Concentrated. They know exactly what they do.
He's looking at his wife, and his wife is probably looking at him.
Yeah. They're not waving, they're not smiling, nothing else. So this is, I think, this Croft picture is the most revealing picture when it comes down to
a car full of Jesuits.
Yeah.
On a mission.
Yeah. Yeah, the car is the altar.
Yeah.
So this is a list here of James Bond vehicles. Yeah. The vehicle crushed was a 1963 model, Brad. What a coincidence, no? With his engine removed. Yeah, there you got it. Yeah.
With the engine removed, so they can compress it better. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the final car that appears in the film is a Lincoln Continental convertible that drives Mr. James Bond to the airport of his flight to Washington. Huh? What a coincidence, huh? That's just coincidence number 14 or 15 or so. It's just a coincidence. Yeah. So Goldfinger was very highly regarded. You got, of course, the main Secret Service agent has got all his protection on his side and promotion on its side, and they even got, the rights to flew over the Fort Knox. Yeah, can you imagine that? Yeah, and you have to have some connections. Yeah, and you got a laser. Yeah, you got a laser. And just by coincidence, look at the symbol here. No? It's not Switzerland. This is supposed to be Fort Knox, but this is the Red Cross. Yeah. Red Cross used to be the lay organization to the Survey Military Knight of Malta.
That's right.
Yeah. And so you got here the favorite scene of Goldfinger, where allegedly a laser is melting the metal board where James Bond has been fixed to. Yeah. Of course, the first body part it would hit would be his two ball canes, huh? Yeah, you really have to think in symbolism here. Yeah, 007 means two ball and a cane. Yeah, they absolutely know what they are doing. Yeah, but the general audience has absolutely no clue, and I could be wrong too. but I think I'm very close to the truth here. Huh? Tubal Cain means Cain spices, so it has something to do with the work of, with Cain. So it's Tubal Cain. He has 2 balls. He has very big balls, yeah, and he has the license to kill, yeah, because yeah, he has the sign of Anu, the line of Cain. Yeah. 007 once again. 2 ball and a cane.
Wow.
Yeah, so much for 2 ball and cane. Yeah, the first Bond movie refers to John Dee and MI6 by Aleister Crowley. No session without him. Yeah. 13-day ritual, Cuba Missile Crisis, Manchurian Candidate. Yeah, who was the first murderer? That was Cain, who slew Abel. Yeah. And then he went out east of Eden. Out of the Garden of Eden. Yeah, and that's, of course, that's the name of the movie of James Dean. Yeah, and Dean Jeffries was his decorator for the number 130 and was also decorator on the James Bond set on Diamonds Are Forever with the moon buggy. And everything is connected. Everything. United Nations, 33 segments. 33. What a coincidence. Yeah, I don't want to go into, letter G. Yeah, remember the start of the Fantomas movie. Yeah, I don't want to go into every nitty-gritty because we will never finish. Yeah, with Tubal Cains and what Tubal Cain actually is. Yeah, okay, this is repetition. Yeah, but there are no coincidences. Yeah, when we spoke about The Shot in the Dark, I'm very sorry, but that script here is not far from perfect. We talked about Diana, and it was also a ritual. It was not any kind of accident. Yeah, so he was. The car was slamming the 13th pillar. 13th pillar. Yeah. In that Alma tunnel, which has been dedicated to the goddess Diana. Oh yeah. Ah yeah. And allegedly there were 13 people dying here in the last years. Yeah, so they always got the 13, even in that. Even in that magazine here, they're talking about the 13. Yeah, and the eyewitness or alleged eyewitness, you have to be careful, says he saw an explosion inside the tunnel, and that's the tunnel with an eternal flame or something like that on top. Yeah? So I don't want to go into this, but I can tell you 2 things that, according to my research, the car had been stolen. The Mercedes-Benz had been stolen a few weeks ago, and maybe the seat belts did not work or something like that. So I think that was a highly modified car, as well as Lincoln Continental of Kennedy was a highly modified car. Okay. And the second thing, that in the tunnel, eyewitnesses they saw an extreme bright flash, which could have been distracted the driver. Yeah, so that's your kind of start with the Lady D, but these are all rituals. Happened in Paris. Yeah. So I came across to think, well, what's about the music of James Bond when we know that it's also Freemason stuff being overlooked by the CIA, SMOM? That's very strange because the introduction thing is very slow. Dum 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 dum. Yeah, so something wants to get high, but it's then going down. That really reminds me of Lucifer a bit, of Pink Floyd, Shine on Your Crazy Diamond. Dum 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 dum. Yeah, because he does not go to the top. Yeah, he's not allowed to play like God, like Shine on Your Crazy Diamond. That's. I was thinking about that also, so that James Bond music has something to do with that. Yeah. So, in the 1964 movie Goldfinger, with our Lincoln Continental crushed, Ulrich Goldfinger is a double name, the surname and the family name both for gold, because Aurum is the Latin name for gold, and Goldfinger, of course, it's a reference to gold, so gold, huh? Okay. So Sean Connery, His villain, very interesting, played in the German Park The Magician. In the movie where he was casted as the villain for James Bond, he played the magician, and the little girl said, "Dear magician, please do some more magic." Very interesting. And of course, they have also their obelisk in allegedly Austria or Switzerland. Sorry, Switzerland it was. So Switzerland, no? Sorry, Military Knight of Malta. Yeah. In the original novel of Ian Fleming, Goldfinger, it was been stated that Mr. Ian Fleming visited Sean Connery on the set, and he died in the same year, 1964. So that is also a very famous picture of Goldfinger. That's repetition, I'm very sorry. Here, the Secret Service is showing off his gadget. This is a bulletproof vest. Oh, could it be any resemblance to the killing of Lee Harvey Oswald? Yeah, once again. Yeah. So then also the Secret Service mobile, yeah, which would be the equivalent of the Lincoln Continental, of course. Here, the Aston Martin DB5 is equipped with weapons tray under the driver's seat. And I think it is highly likely that in the Secret Service or in the Lincoln Continental, they also had weapons. Yeah, maybe also been hidden under the trunk or under the tray or inside the door. I don't know. They also got radio telephone. When you remember about Roy Kellerman being the radio operator, yeah, and installations in the car, yeah, they also had the same thing in the Lincoln Continental. And Guy Hamilton, the one who allegedly chose Gerd Fröbe to play the villain, he says in the DVD special, I was having a lot of trouble with parking tickets in London around that time. So my ambition was to have a revolving number plate. And that's very famous for the James Bond car, that it has revolving license plates, so that he can say, no, I'm not the one who driving that Aston Martin, that's another guy. Yeah, I mean, if you believe that, monkeys can fly. Yeah. But I got another opinion about it. Yeah, so you got to take it with a wonderful pinch of salt. Ah, okay, I will do that so. Huh? In that DVD special, they say they had a special friend of Albert Romolo Broccoli who was called Colonel Rushon, who had great influence with the American authorities. Ah, I said, interesting. Colonel Rushon. Aha. He was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force who became noted for his role as a technical advisor and liaison officer on the Sean Connery and Roger Moore James Bond films of the 60s and 70s. Yeah, so they had the involvement of the United States Air Force. Of course, to have the rights to flew over Fort Knox. And this is just by accident, pyramid. Yeah, this is just another incident or accident, coincidence, just happening by random. Don't think about that. Yeah? And yeah, they could do everything around Fort Knox. And this is a scene from the movie here, Goldfinger. I don't know if you are familiar with that movie, Brett.
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so that woman is pointing a gun at allegedly Mr. Bond. Okay, and in the issue here on the novel, it speaks really about the Aston Martin or Jaguar 3.4. He had taken the DB3. Yeah, so DB are the initials of the founder of Aston Martin. Yeah, so, and it speaks about the Aston Martin, but it does not speak about the things which soon will approach, because that book is of course older than the movie. Then please look it up. Yeah, so there is a shot running out. Yeah, so he has to hide, and then you will see a pursuit between two cars. And now look very carefully what kind of car is pursuing Mr. Bond. Brett.
Well, looks like an American car.
Looks like American car. Could be a
Ford Mustang.
Yeah, Ford happened to be a 33-degree Freemason. Yeah, and Mustang happened to be introduced in 1964. So they got one of the first Mustangs, but what for? Why? Why they are showing American car in Switzerland here? Why?
Good question.
Good question. I got an answer to that question. Yeah. Yeah, so the Aston Martin has been in that novel, but not the Mustang. Yeah, and she is not wearing gloves, but has also red compartments. So red means blood or sin. Huh? Okay, so that's the Ford Mustang. Huh? Meet Mr. Lee Iacocca. The most important tie to the conspiracy in assassination Kennedy was Iacocca's subordination to Cardinal Spellman and the Knights of Malta. According to his autobiography, he had eaten supper with Cardinal Spellman, and shortly after the assassination, Knight of Malta Henry R. Luce, Time magazine, who bought and suppressed the Zapruder film, gave Iacocca a great write-up in his periodicals. Unveiled at the New York's World Fair in the spring of 1964, imagine that the start of the Goldfinger production was the 1st of April, the Mustang proved a sensation. Lee Iacocca well deserved the rare accolade of simultaneous cover stories in both Times and Newsweek. Ring a bell? But it's just another coincidence, Brett.
So this is the first Ford Mustang?
Mm-hmm.
In 1964.
Yeah. And that's the
Just
man who was...
and in 007's movie, which was very popular.
Yeah, and guess who introduced that Mustang? That was Lee Iacocca. And do you know what Lee Iacocca was responsible for? Getting rid of the Lincoln Continental presidential limousine. And there you get your reward.
I see.
Yeah, so that's the unofficial story. You see, I can't prove that, but many authors claim that Lee Iacocca, he was working for Ford, you see, and Lincoln is a Ford division.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the Carter DeLodge, who had signed a 5-year contract with Lee Iacocca's Ford Mercury. Once again, Mercury, you know, the Mercury car who had opened both back doors on the Altgens 6 movie. This is a Mercury here. Once again, Mercury, where said this is Hermes. This is mentioning a symbolism for sorcery here. And then you got Mercury, allegedly, that, what's the name of that... Wim Dankbar, James Files, who allegedly shot that Mercury bullet to Jack Kennedy from the grassy knoll, which is absolutely BS in my humble opinion. Yeah, that was also a Mercury bullet. And then you got that Jack Allen guy from the Storm Drainer who shot at Kennedy, and then he was working at a Mercury dealership. Yeah, you see, you're always Mercury, Mercury, Mercury. And in my humble opinion, it's a symbolism for sorcery. Trickster. Both DeLodge and Iacocca were Knights of Malta, subject to Cardinal Spellman during the Kennedy assassination. Of course, this is EJP here. Later, DeLodge went on to be director of PepsiCo. It's very interesting because Nixon met with PepsiCo, I think it was the night before the assassination. And according to Colonel Prouty, Fletcher, that company also participated in Kennedy's murder. Yeah. And there you got the Secret Service stand down. No? Jack Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, is in peril here. And all the people are looking away from him. The only one who's looking is Clinton, but he's only looking to Jacqueline Kennedy. Yeah, all the other people are just, yeah. These people are more looking to each other than anything else. But it's just my humble opinion, huh? Mm-hmm. President Kennedy was watching Goldfinger. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that can't be. Huh? You only live twice, or what? Others argue that no one knew what the inside of Fort Knox looked like. He declared, I wanted to see a cathedral of gold. Oh, that's a resemblance to a church. Okay, like a St. Peter's Square also. So this is Mr. Bond. Maybe that is 905. That would be 14, would be Osiris once again. Yeah, so this is Goldfinger movie. And then you see the preparation of the trunk of the Lincoln Continental. So we do not know what it was in the trunk during the assassination. But that's a movie so far. So this is the chauffeur. The driver in English, yeah. So this is the driver of the car, and there is one guy. This is that guy with that hat who's not playing according to Mr. Goldfinger's wish or will or script, yeah. And so he wants to leave to the airport, and she shall be driven to the airport by that driver in that Lincoln Continental, yeah. So that is that man. In what position does that man is in that car in the back, Brett?
That would be the same position John F. Kennedy was in.
Yes, and now look, please, very carefully at the next picture. It's been said that the driver of the presidential limousine, William Greer, was a left-hander, was left-handed. But this is just another coincidence, Brad. It is just happening by random in a James Bond movie for the Secret Service, Tubal Cain. Yeah, Freemason stuff. Sovereign Military Night of Malta, Ford Mustang, Lincoln Continental. Lee Iacocca, the driver is shooting the passenger. Yeah. At least we know from witnesses that the driver is showing a gun. Yeah, so we do not know if he has been fired. Maybe he fired that shot to the throat. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, afterwards he was driving to this location, and then the crushing of the Lincoln Continental, yeah, has been played out in that movie. What we have seen. Yeah, and Mr. Goldfinger is smiling because the victim is dead, and the proof has been crushed. It's the same thing as the Kennedy limousine. Yeah, so it has been modified, yeah, getting away of any evidence. Yeah, and even in the Goldfinger, they even mention Cape Kennedy and Delta 9 as an invisible nerve gas. Delta 9, Delta. You know what the symbol there is for Delta, Brett?
Was it a chevron? No. It's a triangle. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's another hint for Freemason and all this stuff, huh? Hierarchy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Like Trident. Yeah.
Yeah. When they try to stop the bomb, of course, it stops at 007, Tubal Cain. Yeah. James Bond, of course, is a fictional character making propaganda for the Secret Service. My name is Bond, James Bond. I have the license to kill because I bear the sign of Anu. Yeah, I'm coming from the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom flag is the sign of Anu. Yeah, of course, they tell you that's a combined flag of several counties there. Yeah, United Kingdom flag. Yeah. If it's not that easy, yeah, that is the sign of Anu. Yeah. 007. There's also a trailer of The Spy Who Loved Me. The sign of Anu with James Bond. Look at this. Sorry for the decent quality.
Yeah, parachute, of course.
Yeah, that's the sign of Anu.
Yeah, there you go. Man.
Yeah, so they are fooling us. They are so fooling us. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Tubal Cain. Follow symbol with two balls and a cane. So this is a Lincoln Continental here. Come on board, President is waiting, because officially the presidential car was the Lincoln Continental convertible. Yeah, so another reference. Yeah, Lincolns everywhere. Yeah, and he says that in 2 hours I will be in Cuba, but that is also written in that novel here. But Cuba is also connected with Fidel Castro and John F. Kennedy. Huh? Nerve gas was constantly been used in James Bond, and interesting enough, introduced in 1964, then in 1965, 79. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Fictional Delta 9 nerve gas. 9 is the opposition to 6, or the yeah, it's a 6 switch around. 6 is the number of men. Yeah, men were created on the 6th day. Yeah, and 9 is the opposition, so it's negative. Huh? Delta 9, Fort Knox. Yeah.
Well, I would argue with that, since 666 is the number of a man. Wouldn't 6 be a number for evil?
No, 6 is the number of mankind, so to speak, because man and cattle were created on the 6th day.
On the 6th day.
On the 6th day, yes. 666 is just a special number of a certain man who takes an office.
Yeah, the man of sin, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, in Thunderball, there's also nerve agents. So they are playing with nerve agents in several James Bond movies, no? Yeah. Goldfinger attempts to gas the population of Fort Knox using a nerve agent. Yeah, it's also an agent, huh? So it could be also a person. It's an agent. Yeah, these are the hilarious, funny nerve gas sprayers. Reminds me of some other things,
Oh,
but I don't
geez.
want to go into
Here we
that.
go.
I don't want to go into that.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. Nerve
horrible
gas,
stuff.
nerve gas, nerve gas. Yeah, yeah. And so they brought a real laser in, yeah, which looked very great, very pencil thin line. But the problem is, as soon as you turned on all the studio lights, it disappeared. Says Cliff Cully. Yeah, so they had to make it. They had to fabricate it. In Miami, I have crushed the Lincoln Continental, and on that under that table where Connery was fixed to, yeah, here's Ian Fleming visiting the set. Yeah, there was somebody which was doing it in real time. Yeah, so I think that Connery had not a good time and was maybe also a little bit hot in his two balls and his canes. Yeah. Yeah, and so this revolving plates for every country, this is the famous Aston Martin with the revolving plates. And now look at this, Brett. He's got 3 plates. Yeah, that's so much I can tell you, okay? That James Bond car. And now this is the official presidential limousine. Can you identify the number plate here?
I can't because the screen is cut off.
Okay.
There, yeah.
Okay.
227.
Yeah.
1. I have to cheat.
Yeah, 100 is the difference between JFK and Abraham Lincoln. That's the 100, yeah. But just add the 2 and the 7.
Okay, and that's 14.
What?
Yeah.
Come on. 2 plus 2 plus 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, what's wrong with me?
Yeah,
11.
11, yeah, sure. Freemasons, huh?
Sorry.
Yeah, just no problem. I can edit it out. So it's 11 once again. Huh? Hilarious 11. Yeah. So yeah, maybe it's sorry, it's better from that perspective. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's very interesting because I came across another documentation and now look at that license plate here. In 1961, he had a different license plate. Can you add that up, please?
Oh, yeah, if I can see it. It's very small. Hold on. Hold on a second. It is 6GL14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 plus 1 plus 4.
Yeah, so 6 plus 1 plus 4 is 11.
It's just another coincidence. I told you that is a session about coincidences here. Yeah, so you got 2 license plates now. Okay? The first one, 227-100. The second one is now 6GL14. But that's not the license plate when Kennedy was killed. Yeah? Because they had 3 license plates on that Lincoln Continental. As far as I found out.
Really?
Really. And it's just another coincidence. I told you, these are the sessions of coincidences here. Yeah, because they had to switch the license plate to 300 because 300 is in the Kabbalistic, the letter Shin, or the number of fire. Yeah, judgment. Yeah, so he was judged to be killed, if you would like to say so, with fire, huh? Looks a bit like fire. Yeah, and so you see, you can go on and on into all the symbolism here, but it's just, of course, all coincidence, huh? That would not stand the test of time in a worldly court. Yeah, but it's just very easy if you really compare all the things. Yeah. So they tell you that the presidential limousine had been completely rebuilt. Yes, sure, Mr. Hayakawa and his team, and put back into service until 1977. In reality, yeah, the car was used until 1977. Yeah. And in the movie Goldfinger, they say that, oh yeah, we have equipped that car with transmitting devices. Yeah, you see, like Edgar J. Hoover with his electronic surveillance, Hoover against the Kennedys. Yeah. And even very small things which could be fitted into the heel of your shoe. Yeah. With radar, defense mechanisms, smoke screens, very interesting because smoke screens also means handing over false information. Little secret buttons where the roof can be, can be burst out, to inject the passenger seat. To fire the passenger ejector seat. I said, well, maybe it's not an ejector seat, Brett. Maybe it's an injector seat in the presidential car.
Thank you. Yes. Very good. I agree.
Fire the passenger ejector seat. Because JFK was sitting on the back passenger side. And Connery says, you're joking. And the last thing that the Secret Service says, I never joke about my work. Yeah, they're taking it very seriously. So if you think that was just a session about coincidences, then it's just up to you. This is just repetition. That's the car afterwards. So they got ripped of many things. You see here the front bumper, the engine cover, the windshield, and what else? Leather upholstery, of course, with all the blood. Everything has gotten rid of. So they are destroying the evidence, and so that's your final proof that the government was in it. So when they are installing things, you can install everything, also injector seats or something like this, because they knew that Kennedy was fixed to that seat. Then he knew he could not move to the left side. There was Jackie Kennedy, and there were roses with thorns between them, so he could not move. So it would be very easy to install such a needle or something like that into the seat, in my humble opinion.
Right.
Would be more easy than to hand over the task also to paralyze John F. Kennedy by Jackie Kennedy. You see that that's much to do for just one woman. If you have not only the task to murder somebody but to paralyze him before. So I think maybe they did it also by that. But maybe also there was somebody in some mechanism or somebody in the trunk. We never know, because they have gotten rid of the car. That's the main issue. And so they have gotten rid of the evidence. Okay, to sum it up, all the secrets in the assassination are lying within that car. And the similarity of events in Goldfinger I find really amusing to a certain amount. I think that they absolutely been aware of what they are doing. And as the Secret Service is highly involved in that assassination, I think that is also being mirrored in that movie. Especially when I think about the song text of Freddie Mercury's Queen with the Killer Queen, Gunpowder Gelatine, that's the exploding head. And then he comes up with that line, dynamite with a laser beam guaranteed to blow your mind. And they are introducing a laser in that Goldfinger, coming down of a vehicle with a red cross. I said, wow, interesting. We know that the author of JFK, Jacqueline's Killer Queen, says that laser means precision. Of course, it could be very well be, but at the same time, one thing is also very striking. Dynamite with a laser beam guaranteed to blow your mind anytime. Because they had only ruby lasers at that time. And wasn't Ruby the one who allegedly killed Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald? And we know they had only a fake laser. They optically had put the laser beam on afterwards. The term Jack Ruby was once used by pawnbrokers to indicate a fake ruby. It symbolized blood, suffering, and death. So the famous line from Goldfinger was, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." And now look at this, what I found interesting in the Vintage Laser Archive 1960 to 63. Yeah, this was the first time when, for a broad audience, it was being published and displayed that there was a kind of a laser weapon. I'm not saying that JFK was been killed by a laser weapon, but I can imagine that the Secret Service they have much more gadgets at their disposal, as they would show in the general public in 1963. Yeah, this is 1963. Ah, this is. Yeah, this is just a bunch of coincidences here with JFK and 007, no? This is 1963, people. This is the Ruby laser. Yeah, and the Ford Mustang. And From Russia with Love being the last movie, according to Arthur Schlesinger, and all the other stuff. This is just pure coincidence that the driver is just leaning back and shooting at the passenger on the right side. This is just only coincidence. I think they are making fun of us with all that Ruby stuff and all the Ruby lasers and all the stuff and all the fake movies and the like. Yeah. So I'm really glad that I could present that to you, because this is the end of the session.
Yeah, Michael, it's like they're trying to sell us something, huh? And we buy it?
People pay for that. People pay for their deception.
It's the same thing can be said for all these musicians too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back when I was going to school, Michael, in Seattle, one of my roommates in the dorm room, he says, yeah, you know, I was playing Sting at the time because I happen to like that music at that time. I don't like it anymore, by the way, but he was saying stink. I thought that was funny. He didn't like it at all. But, you know, he saw right through it. And, you know, kind of that's how it works with these things. Your first reaction is usually the best reaction. And, yeah, incredible how these things work. You know, you just live around so much garbage, eventually you end up consuming it yourself. That's the sad part about it. But yeah, Michael, thank you for the session. Thank you for going through all of the detail. And, you know, this reminds me of the book of John, speaking of John F. Kennedy. John chapter 12. There's a very important verse that I'll end with, but I'm going to go back about 4 verses. So we're going to start in John chapter 12, verse 36, and go to 40. While ye have light, believe in the light, that ye may be the children of light, that these things spake Jesus, and departed, and hid himself from them. But though he had done not so many miracles before them, yet they believed him. They believed not on him, that the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spoke, Lord, who hath believed our report? And to whom hath the arm of the Lord been revealed? Therefore, they could not believe, because that Isaiah said again, he hath blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, that they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted, and I should heal them. Yeah, I mean, I think of this because really we're living in this age of clay and iron. And those of us that are of clay are opposed to the iron, and those that are of iron are opposed to the clay. Spiritually speaking, that means God has molded us as clay, that we're malleable through his hands. So when he wants to work with us, he has to have access. We have to allow God to have access to our hearts. And those of us that have hardened our hearts, I would say, are more of iron, that are going to reject Christ and his teaching and reject the gospel as well. So that's kind of where we're at, Michael, is this day and age of clay and iron, where we happen to be amidst a lot of iron these days, don't we? And very few of us have been revealed through the arm of the Lord, as it says in the scripture. So I find it very interesting. I think there's a lot of parallels there, that that we come together on this channel, Michael and I, and we do these sessions because of our concern for the general public at large. And we know that this is the case, is that there are going to be people that will reject Christ, of course, but there are those that are really lost, and they need to be found. And that's Christ that is looking. It's not us, but we're here to be faithful to Christ and his ministry on earth, because, well, hey, we have hope and we have praise of God. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I hope I could be of some service, and I hope that I don't have to do that kind of sessions anymore in the future, but we can go into more biblical things or more religious related things. I just did it because I had the script almost ready, and so that's just my giveaway. But I hope you can have enough time to read the Bible and to be in a more happily mood than to watch all these BS James Bond movies and all the distraction that only keeps you away from the Bible and from the truth. Yeah, so thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for doing the session, Michael. I appreciate it. It's really interesting to see your perspective on putting all these pieces together, because, yeah, I agree. I think that, having heard your entire series and been with you, that that there is a lot more going on. Yeah, like you said, coincidence or conspiracy, you decide. But I think for Michael and I, we've certainly made up our mind. That's for certain. So we hope to catch up with you next time. God bless and Maranatha.